Hello and welcome to my gameplay recording, live gameplay recording of Gone Home, the interactive first-person exploration game brought to you by Fullbright Studios. I'm actually going to format this as a review, so that's going to be kind of cool. So anyways, I'm going to start off the game, a new game. Actually, kind of interesting thing, the new game actually completely deletes your current game, which isn't really a problem in this game considering how it's formatted. So I'm going to start a new game. Modifiers, kind of nice to have. Different things like developer commentary is kind of cool to add. Disable voice diaries, which I'm going to do to avoid spoilers. I'm not going to unlock all doors. I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to start the game. So the game itself is extraordinarily interesting. The game, basically, you play as Katie Greenbrier, who is a recently returned student from Europe who's basically over there for a year backpacking.
Hi, Mom.
So
I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight. But don't worry, I'll get a shuttle from the airport so you don't have to pick me up. Like, really seriously, you don't have to. Okay, so, love you. See you soon. Bye.
So that's basically the start of the game. As I was saying, the person talking there was Katie Greenbrier, who's the character that you play as. She's recently returned home from a trip to Europe that took a year to her parents' newly moved-in house. The date is currently obviously June 7th, 1995. Very late at night, so you're returning home at night basically to a completely empty house. There's nobody home. Basically, you're trying to find out what happened to your family and where everyone is. So, actually, I'm going to quickly change something. I'm going to turn down the sound effects. Change that a little bit. So, the game starts out with you on the front porch. Basically, you can't go outside, anything like that. The game itself actually entirely takes place within the confines of the house. So, as controls go, obviously WASD, kind of control. Click to interact with objects. For example, opening and closing that door. Oh, that door's locked. Completely forgot about that. Basically, right click, zoom in, same thing with left shift. So, interesting, as I was saying, Katie Greenbrier, the main character of the story. The game takes place in Tacoma County, which I guess is Portland. Yeah. This game starts out, so basically, got the Christmas stuff, throw that down. Not gonna really talk too much about stuff that actually happens in the game. So open the door, walk into the door. This is the house. Start the front foyer of the house. As you can see, a flickering light to start the game, which is kind of cool. So, as I was saying, basically, the game controls very simply. It's almost as simple as you could say as a point-and-click adventure, but obviously, you're first person, you can walk around. But in terms of interaction, I mean, you can interact with objects, which is kind of cool. So I'll pick up this tissue box, kind of look at it. Hold down right click to examine it and move the mouse, kind of flip it around, look at it. Certain objects actually depend on being able to do this, which is very interesting. So yeah, let's close these doors. So the story of the game progresses through basically finding little snippets of voice recordings that you find by picking up certain objects or notes. For example, the first one that you find is actually opening this folder and reading this invoice, clicking it, and as soon as you exit, usually a message would pop up at the bottom right of your screen, and suddenly you would get a voice recording from Sister Sam, who's a 17-year-old sister of Katie. So those appear throughout the entire game. At the end, I'm trying to remember actually how to open this. So yeah, to actually find them, usually there'd be something up here that would basically journal. You could listen to all your old entries, which is kind of cool. You can always go back. So, to start the game, basically, a huge part about the game that I really enjoyed was how ambiguous the start is. Once you walk through those two double doors, you can choose to go upstairs, left, anywhere you really want to go, with the exception, of course, this door over here is unfortunately locked for the start of the game. Not a huge deal, you will eventually unlock that. But yeah, it's basically your choice. Do you want to go that way, or do you want to go upstairs? It's really cool in that way. And another really cool thing about the ambiguity of the game is that basically what you discover and in what order doesn't really matter. For example, this will spark the first voice recording. However, I can leave that and never actually find that and go find something else in the story, and they'll tell me the exact same thing that would normally tell me, but without knowing what that said. So, kind of interesting. Changes the way that you discover stuff, which is really cool. So another thing about the game that I really enjoyed was the atmosphere and mood basically created by the darkness and light. As you can hear, creaking of the house. Very creepy, very eerie. It lends itself to make the game very, very cool. Now, as I first discovered this part in the game during my first playthrough, look down at the end of this hallway. The flashing light, as you can see, obviously something very ominous going on in that room. So the thunder again, very cool. Adds a lot of atmosphere to the game that I really, really enjoyed. So if you listen very quietly, might be hard to hear, but basically you can hear something going on in that room. It doesn't really spoil anything going in, but first discovering this, for example, if you have the light off down here, I mean, look how creepy that looks. It looks really dark, really eerie, kind of lends itself very well to the story, which I will then come back to actually in a moment. So I'm going to turn this light back on and walk down here. So what this actually is, and the sound and the light here, is actually a TV in the living room here, which is kind of cool. You can turn it on and off anywhere you want. Really interesting, really cool. You know, pick up stuff again. Cool thing this game actually does is a lot of references from the time that it takes place. So 1995 references things like the Riot Girl movement, which is basically a feminist punk rock movement. Very interesting, very cool. Also, look, real TV shows and stuff. JFK, which actually plays a big part in the story. If you play it enough, you'll figure that out. X-Files, obviously all that kind of stuff. Very cool. Really, really enjoy the references. It really feels like a real house, which is really cool. I mean, unique objects all over the place, with the exception of a few repeated objects that you may find in the bathrooms and stuff. All things like crumpled notes, and the garbage can, stuff like that. Office, bedrooms, everything you could really want in a house, which is kind of cool. So, as I was mentioning before, the storylines, they're kind of advanced by this, but also other objects in the house kind of lend itself to other storylines, because though there is main one underlying storyline that will get you to the end of the game, there are many other storylines taking place, whether it be Sam's storyline, or the father's storyline, or the mother's storyline, or anything like that. Whichever one you really find is really up to you. It's how you discover the game, and it's really cool. As someone myself who loves to play games to discover and to find stuff and to read stuff and to kind of figure out references and all that kind of stuff, this game was great. I discovered everything that I think there was to discover in the game, which is really cool. So, as I was mentioning, there are references in the game to other cool things. So this is Sam's room. She herself is a gamer, which is really cool because it creates more references. So, as you can see right here, there's something once plugged in here. As a matter of what it is, we don't know until we pick up these cartridges, which, as you can see, are Super Nintendo cartridges, which basically shows that it's kind of reminiscent of the times, which is very cool. Kind of cool reference about this, actually. Adventurous the Cat is a reference actually to Steve Gaynor, who is one of the lead designers of the game, and also worked on Minerva's Den. Adventurous is the name of his cat, which is kind of hilarious. There's also two other ones in here. Not sure what that one references. This one is obviously a reference to Bastion, as you can see from the art style. Kind of cool. This is also locked. It's kind of cool. There's two combination locks, or two, maybe more. I don't remember which one, but combination locks to basically open things in the game. Kind of cool. As I was saying, kind of cool music references in the game. If I open the drawer, actually, what is this? It is a Bratmobile tape that is actually a Riot Girl band back from the 90s, which is which I was mentioning before, are basically punk rock artists. Sorry, punk rock artists from the time during the Riot Girl movement. You can actually insert the tape, play it, and listen to their music. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. A lot of interaction in the game like that. Really interesting. Love that. So yeah, the one thing that people seem to have trouble with in the game is actually the price tag. The game is $20 on Steam, or in your regional equivalent, depending on where you actually live. Now, this price tag may seem pricey for the amount of gameplay that actually gives you. Most people who play the game can finish the game fairly quickly. The game can actually be finished in 45 seconds, funnily enough, for any speedrunners out there. But yeah, I mean, I personally put in just over 3 hours into the game, and for $20, I mean, you're paying $20 for a 3-hour game, whereas you're paying $60 for maybe a 9-hour single-player game that's a AAA title. I mean, hours to minutes, it's the exact same. So, I don't really mind paying the $20 for the 3 hours. It's worth more to me than any movie would ever be for a little bit less. So personally, I don't really have any quarrels with the game. So anyways, to finish up, basically, gone home, absolutely love it. I give full credit to the guys over at Fullbright. Love the game, have no quarrels with it, don't even mind the $20 price tag. Atmosphere is beautiful, sound beautiful, art style, love it. The sound actually attributed hugely to the atmosphere of the game. The thunder, all that kind of stuff, made the game very, very interesting and cool. So I would recommend the game really to anyone out there who loves to explore things. Any guy who likes to play Skyrim and read the books and do all that kind of stuff, this game is perfect, right up your alley. Other guys who like to play, first-person shooters and play more for the end of the game than anything, maybe not your game, but personally, I loved it. So, thank you for watching. I hope you appreciate the gameplay. Please like and comment with anything that you have to say about the game. So, thank you very much, and I will see you guys later.